Welcome to Unapologetic Transmissions. This is a space for raw truth, real patterns, honest reflection, and remembering that your life already belongs to you. I'm not here to fix you, save you, or become the authority over your life, because you were never meant to hand your power away to another person. You are the authority in your life, always. These transmissions are simply me sharing what I've lived, what I'm noticing, what my life has taught me, and the patterns that I see playing out inside humanity and inside myself each and every day. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and trust yourself deeply. And remember, you get to choose your life again and again and again, as many times as it takes to make it the most epic love story ever to be created. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the channel, friends. I know I didn't post a whole lot last week, or honestly, it's probably been a couple weeks. Life got really loud again, as it has been over the last 6 months. Well, let's be real, the last 6 years, but the last 6 months for me have been so eye-opening. And a large part of that is because I finally decided, I finally chose to release my past and start consciously creating a life that feels good to me. And the last couple weeks, I've been sitting in this really deep place of every second of our present moment, we have choice. No matter how we showed up in our past, no matter how we feel about the future, like in this very moment, we have choice. And if I showed up in a way that I wasn't proud of, I can change that and choose to show up differently on the other side. But for a long time, I wasn't doing that. I was sitting in this place of shame and guilt because I should have known better. I should have done better. And I don't like to show up that way, so I feel like I need to punish myself because how dare I show up as anything less than what I feel I should? And yet, I'm walking around feeling completely different about other humans because I was born with that gift. That feeling of, even if I don't necessarily understand where someone's at, I can hold space and appreciate that they're doing the best they can with what they have. What I didn't have was placing that same gift into my own experience, holding myself to that same standard. I would judge myself and shame myself harder than I would anybody else. And it's like, none of that was serving me, first and foremost. Like, I would hold myself to a standard that was literally unattainable half the time. And so this last 6 months has been really sitting with what I've learned and chose over the last 6 years, was to love myself fully and freely. Trust that I am doing the best I can with what I have in every single moment. And that's what birthed the unapologetic movement for me, is I was no longer apologizing for being a fucking human. I didn't believe that I needed to apologize when at the end of the day, I'm always doing the best I can. When I fuck up, I'm not doing it intentionally. And I don't believe other people, for the most part, are either. And even if they are, like, fuck it. The apologies don't fucking matter to me. What matters is taking what happens and using it for your own life and choosing how you're going to move forward from that. And what I've witnessed because of my own story, because of my children's story, is apologize. Like, apologies tend to become something that, depending on how we teach it, how we frame it, how we see it in the world, they can become an internal shame creator. And I've watched it in my own kids. Like, if they feel like they need to apologize, like, a lot of times they will shut down because they feel like they can't face the fact that they messed up and made a poor choice. Like, they want to ignore it because it feels so uncomfortable, and the embarrassment feels like it's life or death for them. And the reality for me is I understand that because I felt the same way. Like, when I was a kid, all you had to do was tell me that you were disappointed in me, and I would rearrange heaven and earth to fix it because, God forbid, somebody was upset with me. I couldn't have it. I didn't want it. I wanted people to be happy and healthy and thriving, even at the expense of myself. That was my safety. My kids showed me that that's actually not sustainable. Once I, got into adulthood and I became my own authority, like, I'm not going to get to a place where every single person likes me. Rightfully so. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and that doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make other people bad people. It just makes us not right for one another. Because if we're right for everyone, then we're not living our own true selves. We're living a version that is watered down by the masses. And I'm so grateful for that lesson, like, for being able to walk the last 6 years of really choosing not to abandon myself for love anymore, choosing to become a woman who speaks her truth, not everyone's truth. I didn't put my do not disturb on, which is okay. But, like, I've been making those choices, and I know that I can choose in the present at any second, and it will rearrange what my outer reality looks like, because I know, as within, so without. Whatever is happening on the inside of me is what is going to be reflected on the outside of me. I know that so deeply in my soul now. And the last 2 weeks got really fucking loud in my life. And I'm like, of course it did. Because a month ago, I made a choice to completely shift how I saw myself, how I decided to show up, the things that I was going to do, the person I came here to be, and what actually feels good in life. And when we shift and we make that claim, my outer world gets louder as it starts shifting into this new frequency. Like, of course it does. Because now I'm shifting, I'm not behaving the same, which then affects other people's realities, and they have to reorganize into what is going to be a new normal. And sometimes that looks like people walking out of your life. Sometimes it looks like them getting upset for a while, and then they recenter and go, oh, okay, I see, I understand. All of that is normal, but we've been taught, like, my reality was, if someone was upset with me, I needed to hurry up and fix it because I never wanted to harm another person. But we cannot save people from emotions. Like, that's not what we're supposed to do. Like, that is not the journey, especially when emotions are one of our greatest gifts. We just weren't taught that. Like, we were taught, or at least, again, my experience, I was taught, and what I witness around me a lot is emotional suppression. When a big emotion rises up, we instantly want to fix it or shame it or judge it or do something with it to make it go away, instead of sitting with it, letting it move through you, and then on the other side, seeing what stays. Sometimes it's literally just an emotion that needs to move through you, and if you don't attach yourself to it, it just is done. But if you've decided to choose it, to attach to it, then there's something there for you. It's your body talking to you, communicating with you the only way that it knows how. That's another thing that I noticed, like, I wasn't taught in my reality, is my life is literally my compass. My body is my compass. Everything that's happening in my awareness is my compass. I wasn't taught how to listen to my body. I was taught how to shame it and control it and mold it into what society expects it to be. Not to love it for the divine, beautiful, life-giving vessel that it is. And I've just really been sitting in that. And today, some of you may know, is the full moon. It's the full moon in Capricorn, and there are a lot of astrologists and people out there that are saying, like, this is the day that is going to shift everything, and like this is the culmination of the last 6 months. And apparently I chose to identify with that, because this morning I woke up and I took my ritual bath that I had stopped for a little while, but I was doing it from November until about March. And then I shifted and stopped for a while, but I got in the bath, which allowed my body to feel safe and relaxed. And I received the most massive, like, alignment and download that I just can't even put to words still what this was for me, but it was a culmination of the last 6 months. And it's like, I heard this outside of me and I chose to make it my own. And here we are getting this breakthrough because I choose to see the beauty. And I was sitting, as I was in the bath, I wrote a little piece of something about the question I wanted to know was, what truth have I already seen that deserves to be lived more completely today? And the thing is I've not been honoring my gift of sight, my gift of seeing, my gift of being able to hold space for all perspectives in situations. Because deep down, I was still trying to protect myself. Like, I still was using a language of, when I speak, people get frustrated, people get upset, people don't understand. And it's like, of course they don't. Because we have been taught a language of lack, of suffering, of control, of survival. And when you start shifting from a language focused around survival into a language that's focused on beauty and compassion, that can feel really, really unnerving. Like, rightfully so. And the thing is there was a thought that popped in while I was really brainstorming and like receiving this download. And for me, Pain was a part of my story, but it's never been the author. And I'm going to repeat that. Pain was part of the story. It was never the author. Because what I do inside my own life is I shift it from focusing on the outside to focusing on the inside. I first needed to know myself. I learned who the hell I was outside, like, of my relationships, not my roles, not the things that I chose to be a part of in life, but who I was on the inside, my innermost thoughts, feelings, emotions, stories that were running around on the inside of me that only I know. Then I moved into trusting myself, trusting that I always know what's best for myself moving forward. All the answers are within me. Even when I fuck up, I can handle what comes because I have done that 100% of the days before me. And then choosing myself. Because when I first choose myself, that gives my children the permission to choose themselves. And it gives other people permission to choose themselves. And it frees us from the weight of feeling like we have to sacrifice ourselves for everyone else around us while we're silently drowning on the inside. And then once you walk through those three, you get to this place when you can start expressing yourself because you finally freed yourself to be able to let yourself live fully, presently, and trusting and knowing that everything is happening for you. And no matter what comes, you can focus on the beauty that comes on the other side because we don't let suffering be the compass. We let the beauty of living a life be our compass. And then life starts to reorganize around the life that you're consciously living. And that's the world that I see, the world of unapologetic living. You know, it's a whole language. You know, I am in process of writing the book, the Language of Unapologetic Living. And so, like, the chapters for that came through this morning. And just, I don't know. It's, I don't know how to articulate how beautiful this feels. You know, the ability that I get to be who I am. I get to live life in a way that feels right for myself. And then this is the first page of the new book that's coming through, which I actually was writing last year, but that's why I'm recording this video today on the full moon to just, I don't know, let you guys into the process that has unfolded for me. Because this journey has not fucking been linear. Like, none of these pieces have fallen in this pretty little order of like, yeah, first we did this and then we did that and then this. And like, yes, there was kind of a structure, like I was just talking about with the, you know, knowing myself and then trusting and then choosing. Like, that kind of structure was there. But all the pieces of what I now am choosing as my purpose, as this thing that just keeps rising to the surface of, this is what I came here to do. This is who I came here to be. none of those pieces came linear. I don't even know the word that you would say, but they didn't come in easily. They didn't come in order. I started a podcast, I think last year before maybe, called The World of Unapologetic Living. And it was one of my longest podcasts because I had a podcast before that was called The New Dream. And that one I only did a few episodes, and then I got scared and I retreated and I stopped allowing myself to speak. And that was a part of the process for me. And then I started The World of Unapologetic Living because I knew I was consciously creating a new world for myself. And I was letting people into it. I just didn't know how. I didn't know that that's exactly what I was doing. I just knew that I wanted to focus on a world I wanted to see, not the one that was forcing me into a box. And so The World of Unapologetic Living came. And I thought that was one of the books I was writing. And I knew I was writing The Language of Unapologetic Living last year when I started writing back in January of 2025. Turns out over the last year, I was writing 2 books. And then the one that finally came through in completion was The Unapologetic Mother. And The Unapologetic Mother, I had the whole like the front page, like the cover of the book, I knew in April of 2025 because I was in meditation, and it was the first and only time that my dad, who passed back in 2010, came to me in a meditation, and I had asked him to give me the title and the cover to my book. And the title didn't come through, but the page did. And it was me looking into a mirror and seeing all of the versions of myself. And in April, I was like, I don't know how the fuck I'm going to make that. Like, I don't know how this is going to happen, but I just knew that it was going to work. I knew that that was going to happen. I knew that was going to be my cover. I knew it was going to come into fruition. I just didn't know how. And I kept moving. I kept writing. I kept showing up for myself and just listening to life moving me. And then in December, I realized that I knew so many things, but I wasn't choosing. I was just letting life move me, which it's possible to be moved in that way. It truly is. But there comes a point when you realize that is just a part of the journey until you finally fucking choose, because you are the story. You are the author. You are the fucking creator. And everything that's happening is coming through you from the choices you've made, the things that you've attached to, the way that you are seeing your world. And as soon as that locked in, The Unapologetic Mother came, and I realized I needed to write my story. Because I knew I needed to give myself permission to let my story sit at the same table as other people's. And there are still people that read it or see it and they're like, how could you say things that hurt other people in your life? And it's like, it's not about hurting them. It's about realizing that my story and the things that I walked through matter just as much as somebody else's. Those two truths get to sit at the same table because it's not my truth against theirs. It's my truth and their truth sitting at the same table. And all of that is one truth. Everything is right. It's perfect as it is until we identify with we have to fight each other to be right. And that's something I no longer do. I don't believe in right or wrong. I believe in right for me and wrong for me, and right for you and wrong for you. And those get to coexist. And we don't have to put ourselves in a fucking war with one another, because that doesn't allow connection in a relationship. It completely shuts it down, and then you don't feel safe. And if you don't feel safe, you don't have a true relationship to begin with, because safety is everything. But then I realized safety comes from inside. So I was my own safe place. I let myself share my story and let whatever happened on the other end of it be okay. And as soon as that book came through, it was published in March, my birthday. My birthday that I turned 38. And it was 7 years after I had started growing and choosing and consciously deciding to change my life for the better, for my kids, for myself, and for my family. And as soon as I let my story out, as soon as I published it, waves came. Like, things started reorganizing, my life started shifting. I became the unapologetic mother because I had already lived her story. But then I started choosing deeper into what I wanted to consciously create in my life, which is the language of unapologetic living. Choosing the language of beauty, the language of choice, the language of compassion, trust, wonder, belonging, presence, discernment, the language of true unconditional love, the love that expands rather than requires your disappearance. And then finally, the language of unapologetic living, where all of the language become one way of life, because it doesn't condemn all walks of life. It trusts that everyone is on their own journey and choosing what is right for them. And when you allow yourself to be free to choose for yourself, you let others choose for themselves. And that frees us all, because we're trusting in their ability to walk their own life. That's true respect in my eyes. And I'm not saying other people are wrong. It's not about wrong. I used to be the person that would argue and debate with people till I was blue in the face. And don't get me wrong, I'll still sit and have conversations of different ways of seeing and all these things. But before, I would feel it in my body when somebody was debating against me or arguing their way of life against mine. I would feel everything in my body constrict because, why are you not seeing my way and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, it is not about me. This is information showing me what this human is choosing for their life. And it has nothing to do with me. And I don't need to argue my way of life with somebody and have them choose me, because I choose my damn self. And do you know how much energy that releases when you're not worried about walking around trying to beat people over the head to agree with you? And sitting here today on the full moon that everyone says is this big one, that everything's gonna align, everything's gonna get better. It's I believe I saw that and chose it. And I'm so grateful that I have the language that allowed me to use that to play in my life, because it feels so good sitting here and having this full circle moment. And then I wrote the first page of the book, and it just feels so fucking good. We become fluent in whatever language we practice. For much of our lives, many of us became fluent in the language of fear, lack, proving, shame, control, and self-abandonment. Not because we chose it, but because it was the language that was spoken around us, and we chose that language. Unapologetic living invites us into a different conversation, a language where beauty is noticed, where compassion is stronger than shame, where trust replaces constant control, where choice becomes more powerful than reaction, where life is no longer something to survive, but something to participate in. This book is not asking you to deny your pain. It is inviting you to become fluent in a language where pain is no longer the only story that you know how to tell. And that's my walk of life. This is what I have lived. I have lived in a world where everyone outside of me spoke the story of pain and let pain be the decider in everything. And every time I would use my story of like, well, maybe they were choosing for this, or like I would always try to see the bright side in everything. And my outer reality showed me it wasn't safe to do that when I was a kid, because people would tell me how I was naive, how I was too kind, I was too gullible. It was all of these things because they were worried about my safety of being taken advantage of, because here I was, this blonde-haired, blue-eyed little girl who trusted everyone. They were afraid for my safety because they were focused on fear and lack and suffering that was all around them. And I get it. As soon as I became a parent, I got it. I understood why they chose that. But then I realized I'm so fucking grateful that my life showed me another way. Because where we put our focus, attention grows. Our first, I don't even know the words. Like I'm just so wrapped up in like all these different things. But the first environment that we are faced, like that we are inside of, is the environment of our internal world. You know, like it's the environment of our attention, what we are putting our focus on. I know that I am just so fucking grateful. You know, I get to choose to build my life from the beauty that I see, not from the pain that I survived. And like that gets to change everything. And I refuse to sit here and believe that that's a bad thing. You know, it just, our ancestors saw a lot of shit and behaved accordingly, and they chose what was best for what they thought in the moment, even if it wasn't the best, even if we would have chosen differently. It doesn't fucking matter. Because I refuse to sit here and look at another human and I know that there is infinite possibilities in how someone thinks, feels, sees, and does things. So I can't consciously and compassionately sit and look at another human and be like, well, you have to choose my way. Like, my way is the only way. This is the only way forward. What you're doing is wrong. And when people choose to do things that are fucking terrible, in my eyes, and there's, I'm sure, a plethora of things that we could all agree on that fucking suck and we wouldn't choose. But sitting and focusing on that one thing brings more. It invites more into our awareness. And I just cannot consciously sit and focus on that anymore. I know that if I sit and worry about my kids, shit ends up happening. But if I sit and have faith and trust that everything is moving the way that it needs to for them, it doesn't protect them from harm all the time, because that's not the point of living a life. Like, we're going to have moments of suffering. We're going to have moments of hardship, because that is how we grow. Like, if everything was always perfect and easy, we would never choose differently. And thank God, because otherwise we'd still be back in the caveman days and never choosing to have these ideas that have brought us to where we're at now and the evolution that we have created. Because people were like, you can't tell me that this isn't possible, because I believe it so deeply in my existence, like it has to come true. And then it did. You know, the Wright brothers with the freaking airplanes, Albert Einstein, like Thomas Edison, all the creators from back in the day that had these massive awakenings, had these massive ideas that brought things to our world. They were people who chose to ignore what people told them that wasn't possible. They chose to believe in the vision that came through for them, almost delusionally. Like, nobody could tell them otherwise. And what a gift that was, that they didn't reject themselves because other people told them they were wrong. And that is what this message is. That is what I'm sitting in today. I'm so fucking grateful for everything that came before me. And I don't have to carry it. Like, I don't carry the pain of those things that happened. I carry the lessons. I carry the beauty that came out on the other side of it. You know, choosing to walk away from my husband when I did opened us up to shattering a foundation that wasn't sustainable. And now we have a love that I've never seen exist in this world. That's conscious. That's beautiful. It's unconditional. It's supportive, even when we don't understand. Because we trust that the other one knows what to do for their own life. And even when what they're choosing isn't what we'd choose, we know and trust that they're doing what's best for themselves, because we're not making it about us. But we honor how it feels for ourselves while also trusting that they're doing what they need to do. Because we don't believe in compromising our life for one another. We believe in living a full, free life with one another, no matter what that looks like. And that's the love that I want to hand to my kids. That's the love that I want to bring to this channel. That is what is coming forward. I know that there are so many things that came into my awareness this morning when everything locked in. You know, the book is just the first piece. I've got all these visions all these tools and pieces that are going to start coming out in the next few weeks, or probably over the next few months. Let's be real. But I have all these things that I want to get out to you guys. Not because I feel like you need them, but just to give you guys other things to be able to choose from. And I know for a long time I was worried. I don't put my face on the channel much because I never want to have someone's mind or brain look at me as a guru, because I don't believe that I am any better than any other person. I believe that I am the best me that I am meant to be as I continue to grow and expand. I choose who I am, but I don't ever want someone to look at me as the authority over their life, because I know what that does to somebody. But I got the most beautiful mirror the other day when I met with someone who has followed my journey from the very beginning. When I don't know if anyone on this channel, on the YouTube channel, remembers, but back in 2022, actually, that's funny because 22s are my number. I got an office downtown in my town, and I took my certifications and became a self-development and happiness coach. And I also was certified in confidence coaching. And so I started my journey doing videos online. I did like a 14-day journaling practice and a couple different things. There was this individual who followed me and took every single one of those videos and used it for themselves for self-awareness. And in the last 4 years has completely transformed their life internally. And I met with them to discuss some really big changes that they want to make in their life. And they told me that I have always felt to them like a rainbow bridge, because I can connect people from two different walks of life or from two different perspectives, and I can make the connection without making the other person wrong. Like, I connect people that wouldn't normally connect. And they just reminded me, I've been doing this journey, and just because I haven't shared like other people have told me to, just because it doesn't look successful in the ways that, the business coaches and the people outside of you would say, I've impacted people's lives just by living my own. And that's all this is about for me. I mean, would I like to be able to support myself and my family doing the thing I love? Absolutely. And I believe that I do. But money has never been the thing for me. It is the energy. It is how I affect people, what I leave people with. But then that also had to come from a place of, how do I feel at the end of the day and how I showed up. And this human showed me that I was so worried about putting all of this stuff out because I didn't want people to look at me as an authority in their life, when I already had the blueprint. I already hand people back their own authority. That's just who I am. That is my gift. I am the bridge between what life taught us, which is your parents and the elders and all these people that came before you are authority over you, to we are the authority over our own lives, and we have been since the very beginning, unless we gave that authority away. And that was my story. That was my journey. And I've already fucking lived it. I've already done it. And I was sitting here like trying to fine tune and make sure that I don't come across wrong. And it's like, I just need to live my life, and y'all will either get it or not. And truly, the people that are meant to be here are here. And what I'm doing is serving them the way that it needs to serve them. And so, to the human, you know who you are. I'm extremely grateful to you, to your story, to how you choose to live your life, and the impact that you've made on mine and your families. Thank you. And to those who are currently working with me now, there are no words for all of the gratitude I have for everyone who chooses to see the beauty in life and not ignore the suffering, but not let the suffering be the whole fucking story, because we can't live in that world anymore. At least I can't. And for those who are drowning and exhausted from living in a life that's endless suffering and endless negativity and being disconnected from yourself, the world of unapologetic living, the language of living an unapologetic life and choosing yourself, that's what it means. It's connecting with yourself first, which then allows you to connect with others deeply and authentically and truthfully, without sacrifice, and allowing a conscious love to blossom and letting yourself live a full, free, unapologetic life alongside others. It stops the war, because the war within has been let go. There was never a war to begin with, except for when we chose it. And I refuse to not share that anymore, just because someone else is choosing that war and choosing to make it a problem and choosing to think that focusing on the beauty is a bad thing. And it might be for them, and that's okay. I refuse to argue that, because I will never tell another human what is right for their life, because only you know that. But I know what's been right for mine, and this channel is about sharing that. It's about living this life full out and letting you guys see and witness it in action. And I'm so excited for the things to move through and for things to get simpler, allowing all of the practices to align, and the whole resource garden, I guess is what I'm going to call it, are now going to be simplified. You'll have the ability to read and learn new words, or watch something and hear someone speak the language. There'll be opportunities for practicing it, which allows you to begin speaking it for yourself in your own life, and then reflecting on where you've become fluent and how your life is transforming because you chose it. Oh, excuse me. So that's what I'm going to leave you with today. I know this is a long one. I trust that it's exactly what needed to come through, though. And I know it's a little all over the place, because there's a whole lot of energies that are coming through. Rightfully so. I I know that I've chosen that full moons, I'm usually kind of all over the place anyways. They're usually pretty heavy, but I don't choose that anymore. I choose that they happen for me. So even though the energy over the last several weeks has been really heavy and sometimes really fucking hard, today was like the culmination of everything blossoming. It's like the seeds that were planted before have now risen through the soil and they can finally see the sunlight. And that's what today is. That is the message I leave you with. So if the full moon has gotten loud for you, if this day or the weeks before it has been loud, you're not crazy. You're not wrong. None of those things were wrong. But you have choice, and if you let those things continue to consume you, and you can choose today to honor the suffering, but let it go and let it move through you so that you can choose a full free life on the other side. Until next time, friends, remember, choose yourself and everything rearranges from there. And changing your environment, the internal one, shifts everything. Much love. Until next time.
Flow like rivers, wild and free. Dive into oceans that call to thee. Breathe in the wind, let it carry your name. Unapologetic living is your claim. Let the waves whisper your story bold. Their rhythm eternal, their wisdom old. Echoes of dreams in the sea foam's dance. Find your truth, take the chance. The tide is rising, beckoning your soul. Crash through the doubts, make yourself whole. The world is vast and the water's deep, where courage wakes and fear's asleep. In every droplet you're alive again. With every ripple a new world begins. No need to hold back, embrace the stream. Unapologetic living, your lasting theme. Let the waves whisper your story bold. Their rhythm eternal, their wisdom old. Echoes of dreams in the sea foam's dance. Find your truth, take the chance.